Well, good morning. It's September 18th, just before noon, and I am at Penmar Park, Maryland, Mason-Dixon line. Won't be long before I cross into Pennsylvania. So I just got out of the shuttle to head back to the trail. Now there's a little bit of a gap between 9/18 and 9/11 when I finished up in Maine. So to cover some ground for you, after the summit to Katahdin on 9/11, went back to Mellanaca and spent the night at the B&B, and then the following morning IPA, myself, Boats, and Sherpa Vicky, they were kind enough to drive me to Bangor, where I got a rent-a-car. And at the rent-a-car in Bangor, which is about an hour from Mellanaca, IPA and I headed south, and we took one night, 2 days to get to Princeton, New Jersey. Where I turned in the rent-a-car at Princeton. IPA got picked up by her sister, and I got picked up by my brother-in-law Ed, and he was gracious enough, along with his wife Priscilla, to put me up for 2 nights and a day to help recover a little bit in Princeton before I picked up my car at his place and then drove back down to Virginia. So I've been in Virginia now for a few days, stopped by to see my mom, do the resupply, and hopefully start feeling better. I can't say that there's a heck of a lot of improvement. I did stop taking any medicine after the climb to Katahdin, just to see how my legs would feel, etc. So they're still a little sore, not in pain, but they're sore. Still got the glute issue that doesn't like me to sit down very long. But here we are. We're now 9/18, and we're going to start trekking north again for 300 miles, 230 in Pennsylvania and 70 in New Jersey. And yes, I know that the latter half of Pennsylvania is going to be Rockovania. So I have a new pair of boots on, which I hope don't cause any problems. And I expect misery on that section of the hike. So I've set my expectations appropriately. Anyway, it's kind of ironic, or maybe it's correct, that back here at Penmar Park, I'm going to get myself a dose of humility, because behind me, right there, is the pavilion. And back in February, when I was doing my shakedown hike, I came up here and had a disastrous hike where I left and got lost, and then couldn't find water, and I ended up spending the night against the wall of that pavilion because the wind was blowing against the other side. And then got rescued by the next morning by my brother-in-law Robin. So after that, I learned quite a bit, not to mention how to use my navigation app. I came back several weeks later and completed a successful test hike, shakedown hike if you will, 2 nights and 3 days in Maryland. So this was the location of my greatest failure, and it's probably appropriate that it gives me a little bit of humility before I take off for the last 300 miles. There's nothing to be taken lightly here. The terrain will be more even, less and not as many boulders, I hope, or certainly as many roots, but nonetheless, the weather is probably the greatest concern, along with my new boots. I'm hoping the new boots don't cause any problem with my feet, but the weather, well, it's going to get down in the high 30s over the next couple nights. And with my 40-degree bag, I've had to pack a little bit more warmer clothing. I bought myself a hat and a pair of gloves at the Dollar General because the Goodwill store doesn't have their winter inventory yet. But hopefully I'll be okay in terms of how cold it's going to be. Other than that, after a couple days, it gets back into the 40s at night, and then longer term, it gets back into the 50s, which is what the seasonal weather should be. But you get your outliers, and that's what we're going to have over the next couple nights. So today we're taking off a little bit before noon, 9 miles, to get to a shelter campground, and I've got my schedule mapped out for 5 days. where that will be the next resupply point, which will be Boiling Springs, which happens to be where IPA is house sitting for her sister. So that could work out quite well. So we're going to see how it goes, folks. It's a nice day. It's supposed to be nice weather ahead other than the cold nights. And, well, as always, wish me luck. Cheers. Afternoon, it's Saturday, September 19th, almost 4 o'clock. So I did 13 miles today. That included the half a mile to get my burger. So this is the Quarry Gap Shelter, which people have talked about extensively, and I can see why. Some have argued this may be the nicest shelter on the trail. There's the tent spots. There's the bear box. So that's where you put your food for the night. But look at this place. You've seen the other shelters, I mean, you know. But there you go. Swing set, Quarry Gap Shelter. 2 shelters on each side, picnic tables underneath. Little portico over there. And then we got some nice flowers and benches here as well. Water is not supposed to be too far away. Can't say if the privy is locked or not, but if it's not, that would be extra points. But yeah, here we go. Jim Stotch, innkeeper. If he's responsible, if he's the caretaker, he does one heck of a job, folks. One heck of a job. And we are right on trail. You see the arrow over there? That is, that's heading north. So, pretty cool. Pretty doggone cool. Looking forward to spending the night here. Got to find a place for the hammock. Maybe near the flowers. Cheers. It's Monday, September 21st, 5:15. I just popped out of the woods over there. And we're looking at the town of Boiling Springs, Pennsylvania, which is where I'm headed. So, been on the trail now 3 nights. This is day 4. And the last 3 nights have been cold. Last night was the coldest. So, I did 18 miles yesterday. I'll do 18 and change today. And the goal was to get to Boiling Springs. So there's a hostel here where I've got a reservation. Lisa's hostel. So I'll be able to have a warm bed and a pillow that doesn't self-deflate. So temperature is supposed to get, warmer again. Get back up into the 50s for the lows, which is where it's supposed to be. But for the last 3 nights, it's been in the low 40s, and I wouldn't be surprised if it reached the upper 30s. And my 40-degree bag, well, it was not up to the job. So, therefore, the big mileage day to get to town and sleep in a warm bed. Tomorrow could be great. Reached out to Mango. Mango's looking to slack pack me tomorrow. So, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, that's it for now. Gonna go find ourselves a warm bed and not worry about being cold tonight. Hallelujah. So September 22nd, 10 o'clock in the morning, taking off. Mango just dropped me off there at the trailhead, and I'm now headed back to Boiling Springs. So I'm headed back to where I spent the night at Lisa's hostel, which is a shed. I need to get a picture of that for you. But it got down into the high 30s last night. So humping the 18, 19 miles yesterday to get to the hostel so I had a place that was warm was a good decision. It would have been really cold last night. Now it's supposed to warm up, be back more in the 50s at night, which is where it's supposed to be. But Mango, man, he's a special guy. So I called him up. He says, all right, how can I help you? Slack packing. So he picked me up this morning at Lisa's hostel and bought him breakfast at the Cafe 101 in Boiling Springs, a very pretty little town. And then he just dropped me off here at the trailhead. So I'm going to do 16 today, easy terrain. Hopefully get back in time. I got to do some resupply because I got 5 days worth of food I'm going to need to pack out tomorrow when he brings me back here to hike the other direction going north to Duncannon. So 16 in this terrain is an easy day, but quite frankly with my legs they could use an easy day. So that's one reason why I'm only going to do the 16. And the drop off is, you know, there's only so many places they can drop you off. So here you go. Here's a good look at the trail. A little ups and downs, not a lot of rocks here, which is a blessing. After Duncannon tomorrow, I will start to hit the rocks, and that will slow my walk. Maybe 12-mile days, maybe about average in terms of what I'll be able to do in the heavy rocks of Pennsylvania. But, well, like I said, got out of the cold last night. That was critical. And now we'll have a good walk today and be back here tomorrow to head north and pass through Duncannon. I think the basic line is going to be, if the day's nice, I hike. So the weather for the next 7 days is supposed to be clear, but of course that can change on a dime. So life's good right now. We'll hopefully keep it up and keep knocking these miles out of Pennsylvania. Cheers.